Amanda Esco, and I am the director of the Religious Education Program here at the First Unitarian Church of Salt Lake City. Thank you for joining us today. We're excited to be back with you on YouTube after our winter holiday break. Let's begin our Reimagining Chapel by lighting our chalice. Now, I have my flower pot chalice here. Whoop, let's not drop it. Do you have yours at home? If you do, go grab it and light it with me. Now, the intention we're going to set today is understanding, and our action is learning. So we're going to put those together for our chalice lighting today. So we light this chalice for understanding. In the spirit of learning, we gather together in community in order to learn, to grow, and to serve. Well, again, I'm excited to be here with you today. I want us to take a grounding breath. I have our saying bowl here, and I'm going to use it today. We're going to do a good old-fashioned bell meditation. So we're going to take 3 deep breaths, and this is how we do this here. We're going to take a deep breath in, and I'm going to ding the bell. I want you to breathe out for as long as you hear my bell. We'll do this 3 times. Are you ready? Deep breath in. Two more times. Deep breath in. One last time. Deep breath in. Taking these quiet moments to center ourselves is so important for our spiritual development. We've talked about this before, but we can't grow our inner work when everything is noisy and busy outside. We have to slow down. We have to be still. We have to listen, and we have to breathe. Thank you for taking this moment to breathe with me today. Now, let's move on to something else that we love, joys and concerns. What's on your mind that you want to share with the people at home with you? I have something. We are back to being online. Throughout the month of January, our worship and religious education will be online. The Omicron variant is ripping through Salt Lake City right now, so our congregation made the brave choice to act, to take a step back and have us be virtual again in order to keep ourselves, our community, and Salt Lake City safe. So we're back on Zoom and on YouTube. You can find us there. And if you need more information about our religious education program or our worship services, please go to our website at slcuu.org. There you'll find the latest information about our religious education program as well as our worship services, including how to be watching. So, important information, but that's a joy and a concern for me right now. How about you? What's going on in your life? Take a couple seconds, share with the people, animals, beings in your presence, because they want to hear from you. Thank you for sharing your joys and concerns. This week's UU of the Week was a stalwart thinker in Unitarianism. I can't wait to share him with you. Today's UU of the Week is considered a titan of Unitarian thought. His name is William Ellery Channing. William was born in 1780 to a wealthy family in Newport, Rhode Island. Newport at the time was a bastion of religious freedom. The city had Baptist, Congregationalist, Quakers, Independent, and Jewish synagogues. William and his family attended Newport's second Congregational church. It was from this pulpit that William heard his minister's stern and appalling theology. It was also the first pulpit where slavery was brought to his attention. In 1792, William went to live with his uncle, a liberal minister, in New London, Connecticut. 3 years later, he continued his education at Harvard College. He was only 15 years old. Studying there, his eyes were open to the world of philosophy he had never experienced before. He graduated at the top of his class in 1798. He left Harvard and took a job as a private tutor in Virginia. While in Virginia, he saw firsthand slavery and the society that was built around it and was appalled. It was from this experience that he decided to give his life up to God and their work. William returned to Newport in 1800. He began to talk with his childhood minister, Dr. Hopkins. While he still deeply disliked Dr. Hopkins' theology, he was inspired by how generous and self-sacrificing he was. In Newport, he saw God and nature through the beach. No spot on earth has helped me to form as so much as the beach. There I lifted up my voice in praise amidst the tempest. There, in reverential sympathy with the mighty power around me, I became conscious of the power within. Determined to find a life in the pulpit, William returned to Harvard to study under Professor David Tappan. It was at Harvard that William developed one of the guiding principles of his life and ministry. He determined that before listening to other people make a decision, that people should think through things for themselves, form their own opinion, and then discuss it with others. By discussing things with others first, he determined, people could become easily swayed and stop listening to themselves. By finding the truth outside of themselves, William believed people would make poor decisions and be subjected to the will of others. This is a thought and practice that he continued throughout his life, and we still see tenets of in our own principles within Unitarian Universalism today. An important thing to know and understand about this time period was that there was no actual Unitarian churches at the time. That name wasn't being applied to churches really yet. Remember, Unitarian churches came from Congregationalist standing order churches of Puritan descent. A hallmark of these churches was the idea of church independence and covenant. Each church organized themselves and found their own minister and made a covenant among its members. Sound familiar? As time marched on, some communities favored a Calvinist theology, one that was very severe and relied on predetermination. Some, though, called liberal Congregationalist churches, believed in science and reason and that God can be seen in all of the mysteries of nature and in all people. In 1805, what was known as the Unitarian controversy really began to heat up in New England. By his nature, William disliked discord, but by 1815 was pushed to start publicly aligning himself and his theology with the liberal churches. He wrote a scathing response to an article published in a journal. After this letter, the Unitarian controversy became even spicier. Many of the Orthodox standing order ministers refused to pulpit exchange with liberal ministers. Now, pulpit exchanges were where ministers visited other churches to preach. This was a practice that was common and done everywhere and also encouraged. The refusal to share pulpits was a line in the sand for many liberal ministers. William, ever the fanatic orator, chose the pulpit for his response. In 1819, he took to the pulpit at the First Independent Church in Baltimore for his friend's ordination. During his sermon entitled Unitarian Christianity, William laid out Unitarian-specific theology for the first time. In it, he stated that the Bible was written by men for men and not by the direct hand of God. Using reason in religion was of utmost importance. Additionally, he said that there was no reasoned understanding of the Trinity from Scripture, that the idea of the Trinity distracts people from their focus on their God. Jesus was to be an example of how to live one's life, and that the role of Jesus was to bring God to people, not people to God. By 1825, the Congregationalists and the Unitarians finally split, in no small part to William Ellery Channing. As one small note, the Calvinist Congregationalist churches are known today as the United Church of Christ churches. Our shared history, polity, and values have led us to be allies today. In fact, our own AL program was created with the United Church of Christ. Now, back to William. He continued to write and preach fervently. He urged people to find God by first examining themselves. He influenced and encouraged the formation of the Transcendentalist Society with Ralph Waldo Emerson. He believed all people worthy of God's love. He spent time with children, including writing an early Unitarian catechism. The most important job, he believed, was that of a teacher. William traveled often, preaching throughout New England, and in 1822, traveled to Europe in hopes of improving his health. While it didn't do a lot for his health, he took this time to write extensively, specifically on politics. When he came home, ever the orator, he continued to speak on the rights of low-waged earners, women, literature, and the anti-slavery movement. By 1825, the American Unitarian Association was formally forming. William, though, afraid of large organizations, refused to take part in organizing the new association. He asserted that, quote, the tendency of great institutions to accumulate power in a few hands was inevitable, and that they promote intellectual dependence, allowing people to rely on an institution rather than themselves for moral guidance. Channing continued to write, preach, and teach throughout his life. He died in 1842. Today, he is remembered as one of the founding thinkers of Unitarian thought in the United States. Thank you. Hello, friends. Over the next several weeks, we'll be looking at our Unitarian Universalist sources and principles here on Reimagining Chapel on YouTube and in Religious Education. We're going to start with our 6 Unitarian Universalist sources. When I think of our sources, I like to use the image several UU religious educators came up with, that of a big library. Unitarian Universalism is different from other faiths. It doesn't hand out the answers to life's big questions. Instead, it asks each one of us to explore our own individual spiritual development and find what feels right for us. That is where our sources come into play. They are the library books, you might say, where we, as Unitarian Universalists, can find the answers that feel right to us, to these life's big questions. This week, we're going to look at the first section of our library, our first source. Here's the exact text of the first source. Direct experience of that transcending mystery and wonder, affirmed in all cultures, which moves us to a renewal of the spirit and an openness to the forces that create and uphold life. Our experiences in this world tie us to other people, the earth, or universe. People throughout time have sought experiences, places that fill them with this feeling of awe. Awe is defined as a feeling of reverential respect. It is that moment that you come across something that takes your breath away. People find this in so many different places. Sometimes it's in the middle of the desert, looking at the endless night sky. Sometimes it's looking into the face of a newborn baby. Sometimes it's the cold stinging your cheeks as you crest a ridge on skis and find yourself in the middle of untouched snow. Sometimes it's finding a seed pod on the playground. These experiences ground us to ourselves, the earth, and at the same time, we are overcome with our own place within it, that we are woven into the fabric of the universe since the moment we came into being. This feeling that we are one small part of a very large world, and that while we are still small, we are immeasurably important. I wonder if our Wonder Box today has anything that can help us describe our first source. Oh, it is a book. It is Child of the Universe. Let's see what the book has to say about this mysterious and wonderful life.
Child of the Universe by Ray Jayawardena, illustrated by Raul Colon. My father says I am made of stars. He turns off the light so it is dark. We look at the moon from the edge of my bed. The universe conspired to make you, he said. Just like the sun gives shine to the moon, you light up the world beyond this room. Like the majesty of the Milky Way's grace, your curly hair swirls over your face. There are galaxies in your smile so wide, the cosmos is reflected in the depths of your eyes. Like faraway planets only telescopes can see, with hills and valleys, glaciers and seas. You are grand and marvelous, strong and mysterious. The history of the world is in your fingertips. The iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, are made up of stars that lived long ago. Your atoms spin like Saturn's rings. You are part of everything. Of constellations and Arctic ice, of waves that move at the speed of light, of starbursts brighter than fireworks. You are a child of the universe. Now, get under the covers, my father says. It's time for you to go to bed. He tucks me in, and through the window I see the great full moon smiling back at me. I close my eyes, and tonight I'll dream of stardust and planets and all that's between.
One of the first lines of this book is so powerful. The universe conspired to make you. You are part of our universe. You are made of stardust. The wonder and awe within nature and the universe lives within you because you are the universe. The mystery and wonder of life are in you right now. And each time you are in a moment where you can feel this, that is the direct experience we're talking about. After you have those moments, more often than not, your soul settles a bit. Your spirit is renewed. Each of us experiences these moments in different ways. They can happen anywhere, at any time, because they are your experiences. No one else experiences them quite like you. Your experiences make up the stuff of stars. Stand with wonder and awe sometime this week and allow it to overcome you. Thank you for joining us once again for Reimagining Chapel. To find out more information about the First Unitarian Church of Salt Lake City, please visit us at slcuu.org. Until next time though, let's heart out.